second, but we're going to get this done. I've got the best team. They remember everything. All right, hold on. It's preparing to live stream. Hold on. Here we go. All right, y'all are great. Oh, Rakes, thank you. This is our, but we're going to get this done. I've got the best. There we go. All right, cool. I think we're streaming. I think we should be good. Hi, YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube. I was going and forgot to stream, but I think we're good now. So we were just talking about powerful decisions being made. And again, yesterday we talked a lot about taking action. We talked about how to know which actions to take based upon your goal. We also sent out in the replay email, if you didn't catch it, a bonus training. Did anyone see that one, the decision making from the end? If you haven't watched that yet, that's in the replay email from yesterday. Go grab that. It's really powerful. It's a really powerful training. It's how I make decisions in my life. It's what has allowed me to quantum leap again and again. It's for anyone who you saw interviewed this week, they have done it this way as well. It's not how most people do it. And it's why most people kind of keep getting the same results again and again. So if you want to really, like we talked about this week, collapse space and time and start having very different results fast, then implement this decision making from the end. It's so powerful, so powerful. If you are watching on YouTube and you have not registered for the summit, register. That's how you get the bonuses, the replays, all of it. You can still register and catch the whole thing. EliseArcher.com/salessummit24. All right. Let me see here in the chat. So be thinking today about what is your question and where and how would you like some support? It can be a question about the material. It can be a question about our programs. If you have questions on the programs that I shared yesterday that are open for enrollment. Jill, this week's decision, I signed up for the 10K club. Yeah, you did. And we were celebrating you big time last night. I hope you know that. We were celebrating you big time. We are so excited to welcome you in. Just so excited. Yeah, let me take a moment and just acknowledge for those so far this week who have made that decision. We've got Abby, Jill, Yulia, and then Leslie. We want to give a huge warm welcome to all of you into the community, into the program. We're so excited for your quantum leap. I know a lot of you are having conversations now with your success advisor as well. We still have the bonus through the end of the night tonight to get access to the powerful decision making, the goal setting workshop that we're going to be doing in October. That's going to be a special workshop just for those of you who are enrolling this month from this enrollment event. And we're going to spend time together helping you go way farther, way faster in this material. I'll teach you again how I set goals. It has nothing to do with SMART goals, the realistic time bound. Like we don't do that. I want to teach you how to set goals that are going to light your heart on fire, that are worthy of trading your life for. Okay? Because as Bob Proctor said, every goal you set, you are trading your life for it. Everything you do, you are trading your life for it. So you better make it worthy of trading your life for. And those are the types of goals we want to help you accomplish in this program and in this community. So it's going to be really fun. All right, amazing. So again, be thinking about your question. I want to announce the bonus. Let's see here. Yeah, I want to announce the bonus prize winner. Let me see. Ooh, come back. Let me see if she's on. All right. So for this bonus, it was based on who is sharing, here everyday live. So you got to be here everyday live, completing the homework assignments, engaging, like showing up, playing full out for yourself, sharing on social as well about what happened and kind of your transformations. And this particular person is winning a 30-minute private coaching call with me where we're going to quantum leap you. And our winner is Laura D. Laura, do you want to come off mute and we can celebrate you and just congratulate you?
Wow. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you so much. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I read your share in the group last night about leaning into intuition, and it's been so beautiful because I know you joined 10K back in, what was it, July, I think, like
July. Yeah.
not long ago. Um, and to see how much you've grown so fast. And I just want to let you know that the whole team and I, we see how engaged you are. We see how committed you are. We see how you're showing up for yourself. And there's so much power too when we share what we're learning with others, which you're doing as
Mhm.
you go on this journey. So
Yeah.
we are just so excited. So Angela, if you can make a note to reach out to Laura and we'll get her scheduled for her 30-minute private call. But we're so excited. So
Thank
congrats.
you. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, my loves. Well, let's do some coaching. So this is open coaching. It's integration. Again, questions about the material from this week, questions about the programs. I'm here for any and all of it. And we really want to serve you in this. So whether you are not yet a member of our community, whether you are a current member, I think a lot of times our current members are like, they're so great at raising their hands and kind of modeling this as well. So I want to welcome and invite, everyone who's on live to ask a question. So just raise your virtual hand. That'll show me who has a question. There's no bad questions here. I think that's also so important is just to know whatever is on your mind from this week. It's for you and it's for others on this call as well. Cindy, how do we raise our hand? I'm gonna just assume that you have a question by that's fine. Just come off mute. You're good. But for those of you who don't know, I think you just do how do you raise your hand? Do you just do the react? I don't know. I don't team help,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, you just hit react and then there's a little button that says raise hand.
there
Oh,
you
okay.
go.
I didn't know that was a reaction, but that's okay.
Zoom keeps evolving. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hey, thanks. So I've been loving the whole entire week, and I had posted in Facebook and would still love to know. You had mentioned about your money demons that
Mm,
had surfaced when you had made your first decision. I think I listened to it on your one of your podcasts, that you made your big decision and then your money demons um surfaced. And I understand that very well. And yet I'm just really curious about what like how you dealt with them. Like, did you talk to them? Did you use a healing modality to process them? And I'm originally from Canada, so I process and everybody
I
else
love
processes. But yeah, that's yeah, how did you deal with them?
That's so good. That's so good. We've got a lot of beautiful Canadians in the community, and I always love listening to everyone talk. Yes, so I would say a few things. I think the first thing is let's take some of the power back and not even call them demons, right? So I would just simply call it like money limiting beliefs, right? These are just limiting beliefs. Um, the power, the energy we give a thing is going to determine our experience of it. So I know for you, you mentioned like, hey, it sounds like you've got some of those coming up right now that you're experiencing. So first and foremost, just making the energetic shift within yourself that like this is not a big deal. These are not a big deal. Um, the primary thing that helped me is actually a tool that we teach in the 10K club, in the Mind Over Matter segment, which is how to know and recognize when you are thinking a limiting belief. Do you know how to do that? Do you
Yeah,
know?
I actually teach. Like there
Oh,
is like everything that's out of your mouth. I think that's why I loved so much because you've taken a little bit of like 10 different people, let's say, whose courses and things
yeah.
I've learned from, and they're like, oh my God, in one beautiful human body, this is perfect. So, yeah. So that's why I've been really loving your
Oh,
content. Yeah,
thank
the
you.
money piece is something that I'm curious about though.
Absolutely. No, I love it. Thank you. Yeah, I kind of my take on what we do is we combine sales
Hmm.
and science and spirituality. So I think there's a lot of amazing leaders in the world right now who have kind of bridged that gap between science and spirituality, whether it's, Joe Dispenza, Greg
Yes.
Braden, a lot of great, and those are all like my people who I love.
Yeah.
And what we aim to do is add kind of bring that more into the sales and business world. And what does this look like there? So that's probably where you hear some of those
Hmm.
influences, which is really powerful. So, okay, so you get this. So for those who may not be familiar, how we can recognize when we are thinking a limiting belief, which is simply a thought that is not actually our highest and best truth. All right. Something that it's a belief that was maybe instilled in us from childhood. We talked this week about money beliefs, right? Rich people are greedy. Money is the root of all evil, different things like that. And there's so many limiting beliefs out there. I was texting with someone this morning on this call who was just talking about being ready to drop the belief that money is hard to make. Like, how many of us have been told that like money's hard to make? I used to think that, and it was. And this is the deal with beliefs, is whatever you believe to be true will be your truth. It will be your experience. I do not think money is hard to make. I started affirming money is the easiest thing in the world for me to make. And I now genuinely feel like it is. Like, to me, it's so easy.
Right.
But it took shifting that belief, right? But so our body will tell us when we are thinking something that is not actually true for us, not our highest truth, because we experience a negative emotion. So I remember when I was on my journey and I had made my first, like, what I considered big investment in coaching, which was $50,000 for 6 months. And part of why I did it was I knew it would shake things up so much for me and get me so out of my comfort zone that I would have to deal with everything that had been kind of just like running my life beneath the surface for a long time. Right. So I did it knowing that, because I felt a lot of discomfort around that investment. I'll say it that way. And everything did surface, right? All the thoughts of like being responsible with money. I was the breadwinner. I still am the breadwinner. What am I doing? Have I just put our family in jeopardy? All of that stuff, right? Because our comfort zone is our default. It's where we want to go back for safety. And so my comfort zone was like before I made that investment. So my brain was like, oh my gosh, what did you do? What if you just made a mistake? But what I now know is that there is a time in our lives when your comfort zone becomes your cage. Your comfort zone becomes your cage. And even just check in for those of you who have maybe been existing in the same pattern or the same cycle for any amount of time longer than you would prefer, right? A pattern and a cycle of lack, a pattern and a cycle of holding back from what you want, a pattern or a cycle of self-doubt, of saying someday to what you want, to the home you want, to the car you want to drive, to the impact you want to have, or saying that's for them, not for me. And your comfort zone is where you are right now, but it's not what you actually want. It's not what your
And
soul
yeah,
wants.
it's not comfortable at all.
Exactly. And that's and that's the thing we have to realize, like, it is your comfort zone, but you're not comfortable because right? Who in here has that knowing? For me, it was just like a knowing of there is more, right? And and it's such a powerful awareness. So to trust that knowing is the best gift you can give yourself. I'm going to come back to money in a minute, I promise. But one thing I will say is I ask myself this a lot in the morning, because it feels like every day now I'm doing things and taking actions that a version of me, even like a month ago or even a couple of weeks ago, sometimes wouldn't have done. Maybe the day before wouldn't have done, right? Because I'm continuing, like, I'm in this work with all of you. I'm doing this with all of you. I don't think any of us are ever done or finished. Like, I live it, I embody it every day. But what I'll ask myself is, what is my knowing, right? With like decisions that I'm making, or something where it's like my intuition is telling me like, yes, move forward, yes, expand. And then maybe the brain has something to say about, oh, but what if, or this or that. I'm like, what is my knowing? Or I'll ask, if I fully trusted myself, what would I do? That's always going to point you in the right direction. It's so powerful. And then I just do that, even if it's really uncomfortable, because I know that it's always going to lead me in the right direction. And I know that the how comes after we decide. So anyway, when I had made that investment and the limiting money beliefs were loud at that moment, I really tuned into my body and learned to pay attention to my emotional state when I was thinking a thought. And I noticed when and I would listen. So I pay attention to the thought and then pay attention to what's the feeling state in my body when I'm having this thought. So if it's a feeling state that feels good, that feels like love, that feels like expansion, that feels like joy, that feels like peace, that feels like trust, that feels like freedom, that feels like knowingness, follow whatever the thought was that you're experiencing in that emotional state. That's your truth. But if it's a thought that I'm thinking and my body is in a state of anxiety or fear, if I'm feeling a feeling of anxiety or fear or unworthiness or lack or any of that, the key in that moment is to know that the thought is not true. What you are thinking in that moment is not actually your highest truth. And so I would just tell myself, oh, I'm thinking a lie right now. Oh, that's so interesting. Okay. So if what I just thought was a lie, the thought of like, oh, you should be responsible or you made a mistake or anything like that, then what's the opposite? The opposite is I'm incredibly empowered with my money. The opposite is more money always flows. The opposite is money is abundantly available everywhere. The opposite is I always make amazing decisions for myself. The opposite is I'm doing exactly the right thing. I'm on exactly the right path. And I would pay attention to how I felt in my body when I said those things. And the feeling is better, which tells me that's truth. Does that make sense? So the exercise that we did on day one of this event, the old personality, new personality, where you actually write down the thoughts and write down the feelings and the actions, both of the version of you who has everything you want, and then the current version. I would literally write down every thought that showed up under old personality. So I'd pay attention to every limiting thought I had about money. I would pay attention to the feelings that my body was addicted to, the cortisol, right? I would write them down so I could become aware. And then my focus became not, the focus actually wasn't so much on money. And this is also really powerful. Like, of course, in the back of my mind, I was like, all right, well, I've got my next, coaching installment due in a couple of weeks. So I got to figure that out. But I fell so in love with the work and I fell so in love with how I started feeling better because I finally became really aware of what my truth was versus what I'd bought into for a long time. And I started trusting myself again. And I started believing in myself again. And I started feeling so good that when the money came, and it came big time, it was almost like a bonus because the person I had become in the process was the actual gift. And so the thing that we tell our clients when you're working towards a goal, we always want to have a goal. I think goals are so important because they give us the next target to aim at. They give us the next version of ourselves. They give us, they help us expand, which is why we're here, right? So I'm extremely goal oriented. Like my husband would tell you, like she's on it, like, and I love it. And it's wonderful. And it's so fun. But focus not so much. Make your focus not so much on manifesting the goal as manifesting the version of yourself with the goal accomplished. And the goal will take care of itself. The goal will take care of itself. That's when it happens because again, we get what we are. Yeah. So we hold the goal in mind. We hold it loosely, right? We know where we're aiming towards. We know what we're creating. But then the real focus is on who do I get to be? And it's a beautiful process. And in the process, there were ups, there were downs. There were 3 weeks that felt pretty intense after I had made that investment where it was like, it kind of felt like everything was coming to the surface. But what was powerful about that is that I didn't have a choice but to work on it. And so one of the things I say in my keynote is your must will move mountains. When it is a must for you, you will change. When it is a must for you, you will transform. And I knew that in investing in myself and getting radically uncomfortable, it was my declaration that it is a must for me to no longer struggle financially, to no longer be stuck playing small in any aspect of life. And now I'm going to get to really do that. And I knew that I was going to get to go deep into all of it, and I did. But after about 3 weeks of some really intensive work on that, I felt like my body had shifted. I felt like my beliefs had shifted a lot. I suddenly felt where there had been a lot of like anxiety and fear and self-doubt, there was a lot of calm. Like I felt more love than I'd felt in a long time. I felt my heart open up. Who in here who's a client has had that experience where your heart opens up? Because I know, and it's like it hadn't happened for a long time. My heart had been closed. I had no idea what I thought. If someone said open your heart, it was like love someone. I didn't know that it felt like suddenly like it's this little opening and expansion in your chest, and then it's like you're a magnet for everything you desire. I didn't know that, but you are, because the heart is the magnetic field and it creates the magnetic field in our energy body. And so, and then it was like, holy crap, stuff started coming in, stuff started happening. And it was about 3 weeks of feeling really amazing. And then the financial started coming in. But when the money came in, like I was already being the version of myself who had that. And so I already felt abundant before the money came. I already felt free before the money came. And that's the trick. You have to feel it. You want more money, you've got to be abundance. How does abundance feel? It feels like freedom. It feels like options. It feels like opportunities, right? So I practiced that and I embodied that. And then because your outer must shift to mirror who you are being, it shifted fast and powerfully. And so that's why in our programs and what we've been talking about this week, like I love teaching strategy, and we do it a lot. And you can have the best strategy in the world, but if you're building it on that foundation of unworthiness or lack or not enoughness, it's not going to get you very far, right? I think that's why a lot of people feel like they're stuck. So when we can do the inner work, which we start with, actually in the 10K club, there's like pre-work that you do right away when you're in. And it's so beautiful, like the texts that we get from clients when they go through the pre-work and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like a different person just doing this. Like just this one module. There's an inner child healing module in there. Y'all know, those who have been through it, y'all know it's powerful. And that's one of, I don't know, 7 or 8, I think, just in the pre-work. But the shifts that will happen, it's about you embodying a new version of yourself, being that woman or man. And then from there, then we layer the strategy, then we take the action. Does that make sense? And did that answer the question?
Well, actually, you know what is really awesome? So I loved everything you said. And I'm so thankful to have like a recap again of everything that you taught us this week. And I suddenly realized is, you know what? I've been asking my guidance and what the heck's going on, the wrong question.
Mm.
And that just, and when I was like, oh yeah, because you know what? So like just real short, so I had a business betrayal in 2020, like that after 12 years, like one cryptic text and one email, and my 6-figure life as I knew it then was like gone.
Okay.
So rebounding from that, and then we had COVID for 2 years that I was in Canada for that with my mom. So anyway, so it's not about the where's the money or why don't I feel it's trusting the flow of life, and there's this trust part that's where my disconnect is, I believe, in a big way. And I hadn't really connected those dots until you were talking, and I was like, oh yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And can I speak to you the way I would a coaching client?
Yes, please.
Okay. So words have a lot of power.
Yes.
So the fact that you labeled what happened in 2020 as a betrayal, there's still a lot of negativity you're caught up in there. So the law of opposites, are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. So everything in the law of polarity, law of opposites, everything has an opposite. So little challenge, there's a little opportunity on the other side. Big challenge, there's a big opportunity on the other side. So I think there's going to be a lot of freedom, Cindy, that comes from you when you stop labeling it as a betrayal and you find the gift. So I actually want to ask you right now, what's the gift? What gift did you receive in 2020?
There were a ton of them. I was released from an industry that really wasn't what I ever really wanted to do. I was very clear on the thing that I feared the most, that I was like, I'm going to die if this ever gets taken away from me. And that's exactly what happened. And I was like, okay, girl, and you didn't die. Like that was really one of the biggest ones because I grew up with a lot of childhood trauma. So, and again, not wanting to get into story, and yet having what I perceived was my source of income, even though I know that we are our source and our supply, like that was the gift of, even though at the time it brought me to my knees, I was like, okay, and I didn't die. And
Yes.
that was a big one for me. Even now it's like, okay, you know what you thought you were never going to be able to live without, and you didn't die.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So in those moments, in those seasons where we are being refined, you're being prepared for something much greater. And so just taking your power back, and I would decide I'm not going to call it a betrayal anymore. I'm going to say I received one of the biggest gifts of my life in 2020. And what I know to be true, I had some stuff happen last year that was like, bring you to your knees. Yeah. So I get it. And it was the biggest gift, biggest gift. And what I now know is that the woman that I was being prepared to be the woman who can now lead our company at the level that we're going. There was stuff that got to be shaken up, and it was good because it helped me get so strong. It helped me develop way better leadership. It helped me learn to, it helped me learn to rely on God in even bigger ways. And so just to know that those seasons where it feels like, damn, that didn't feel good, or yeah, what didn't see that coming. It's always the opposite, right? So what's the gift? And then knowing that you are being refined into the version of you who can have what you want, who does have what you want. So you shift the energy there, because also lack of forgiveness causes debt. Now, I don't think debt is bad. I love leveraging debt. I think debt is really powerful. But for anyone on this call who was like, oh, I want more financial freedom, what are you holding on to that you need to forgive?
Right.
Who are you still blaming? Who are you saying betrayed you or hurt you or did you wrong? Forgive. The energy is going to move so much faster in your life.
Yeah. And I have thanked them for everything because I'm like, oh, thank you that I'm no longer part of that world. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's a gift.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So good.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Patty, I am so happy to see you here. Hello, beautiful. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm good. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've been working at the same time as everything is going on, so I'm kind of like tuning in and out. But thank you so much. I remember when we first met years ago, when we were both like trying to figure it out. And I'm so proud of you for everything that you've done. It's like,
Oh,
wow.
I love you.
My
Patty, can I tell really quick? Patty and I
Mhm.
met, like, I think we met in a hallway, didn't we?
Yeah.
At an event in San Diego. What year was
Mhm.
that? Was it 2018?
I think it was 2018, yeah. Mhm.
And then we stayed in touch. And Patty was one of our very first members of the 10K Club. And I just love you. I love your heart. I love your soul. I love everything you're about. Yeah, you're amazing. So go ahead, ask your question. But I was like, it has been a
So
minute.
thank you so much. Well, as as you could possibly tell, I kind of fell off the grid for a little while, but
Mhm.
I was really like implementing everything I learned with you when we started the coaching and all that good stuff. And then last year I got hit with I don't want to get emotional.
Okay.
Um, a diagnosis for a disease that I did not know I had.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
a diagnosis for a disease
Okay.
that I did not know I had.
Mm, okay.
And it just kind of like, it shook my entire ground and
Okay.
it put me in a hole that I'm
Mhm.
trying to dig out of right now.
Okay.
And my question is, how do you get back in the groove? Because I know, like yesterday when you were talking about the 10K club and all that good stuff and the 50, I was like, man, I wish I had it right now
Mm,
because I know I can make $10,000 like that.
mm,
My biggest issue has been overcoming the diagnosis, trying to balance my symptoms because it's uncurable disease, it's
mm.
progressive, it's a mess.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
my biggest thing is like, um, how do you get back in the groove to to be who you were before?
Mm,
You
mhm,
know, because
mhm,
like I know I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
mhm.
And then last year I just fell into this hole and I've lost pretty much everything.
Okay.
And I'm trying to like refocus and readjust
Yeah.
and get back to that level where I was. I'm like, I was traveling, I was living the life I wanted, I was doing everything I wanted. And now
Mhm.
it's like, what the heck? Like,
Okay. Mhm, mhm.
how do you get back on the horse and get
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so you said diagnosis, right? A diagnosis of something you didn't know you had last
Mhm,
year. Okay. So I'm gonna say similar to what I have said, excuse me, to others throughout the event. Now, I'm not saying to put your head in the sand. I'm not saying to not do what you need to do in terms of medical treatments. Okay. So
of
you got
course.
to take care of you. And I would also invite you to decide, what are you going to let define you? And what are you going to give energy to?
Mhm,
Because whatever you give energy to is going to amplify.
okay.
Okay. So I shared yesterday, um, just using this work on my own to like heal skin cancer, right?
Mhm,
Um, there was fear when that diagnosis came in.
mhm,
And yet what I did was I leaned into faith. I saw someone in the comments say about faith. Um, and I did the work. And I actually sent it a lot of love. And I did a lot of deep meditation.
mhm,
And I decided that it wasn't going to define me, no matter what, no matter what the outcome was. And on a physical healing standpoint, I mentioned yesterday, we've got a lot of beautiful stories in this community of
mhm,
physical healings. And I think, regardless of the diagnosis or the condition, we've got a beautiful client. I don't think she's on right now. And I'm not going to give anything identifying away, but one of my high level clients, she received a diagnosis a few years ago where a lot of people would say, there's no way you could be doing what you're doing right now. But
mhm,
she chose not to let it define her. And you would never know unless she told you. You would never know how she's showing up. She's kicking ass. She's doing the thing. She's building her business. So I think the opportunity for you is to say, what am I going to be defined by? This diagnosis that someone gave me? Or how am I going to self-define as the best and highest version of myself? Right? So who is that best and highest version of Patty? And I wouldn't try to go back to who you were before, because there's a more evolved, expanded version of you who's seeking to emerge through this. So it's not about, let me try to get back to where I was before. It's like, damn, what's the most badass version of me now? Because she's even more badass
mhm,
than I was before this came through. So you start asking that question. You start connecting with her. You start asking, like I was coaching Cindy, what's the gift? Because there's a gift and there's a big gift when it feels more challenging. So there's a big gift for you in this. You start asking that. You'll start seeing what it is, because we're only going to get answers to the questions we ask. So just like Cindy was like, oh, I've been asking the wrong question. Yeah. Don't ask like, I always tell people like, don't ask where's the money. Like that's powerful. Ask like, how can I connect with more money? How can I open up to receive more, right? In this case, start asking what's the gift and what is the most empowered, abundant, healthy, loving version of me. And you start practicing her. Do the day one exercise,
Okay.
new personality, old personality. We'd love to have you back in the community. I'll work with you on this. We'll support you through it, because that work, like we go way deeper in the program. It's evolved so much since you were like, you have no idea. You'll get in there and you'll be like, holy
I
shit,
bet.
it's good. But there's a lot of exercises in there that'll help you tap into and then connect with that highest version of yourself. And she's even more elevated than you were before. But it's all about where you're going to focus your energy, Patty. So you start focusing on her and on the gift, and you'll see things shifting. You will. It will transform. So yeah, does that help and answer your question?
Definitely. I mean, I've been obviously trying to practice all of that, but you know, it's it's hard to look for that gift and to see the better version of me when I get up in the morning, I can barely move. Or when
Mm,
I try to get up and I'm like falling, you know, and it's like I try so hard because I know I've made it to where I'm at because of everything that I learned from you and from other
mm,
coaches and from reading and listening to Brian Tracy and all of these things, you know,
yeah.
and I try to apply all that. But sometimes it's just like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's exhausting, especially when you're going at it alone, you know.
It was so, as you said that, it was interesting because I just kept having the word community coming through for you. And I had a sense that you were feeling alone
Mm-hmm.
in that. So there's two things I want to say. One is from a healing standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you're doing Joe Dispenza's meditations right now, but I cannot recommend enough. Like, are you doing
Yeah.
that every day?
You know what? Saturday, I decided to go to my favorite cafe and just listen to a book called Don't Believe Everything You Think.
Very true. Yeah.
And and I just decided, and I was like, what I haven't listened to in a while? Joe Dispenza. And I
Yeah.
started looking for him, and then that led me to another video, and then I came back to you, and I was like, oh my God, the summit, you know, and I
It's fun to see how you're guided. Yeah. So I would, blessing of the energy centers, I think is a beautiful one for physical healing. So I
Mhm,
would definitely I would lean in to that work. Um, on the community side, we've got you. Like if you, and again, I'm always about people deciding for themselves and their path, but
mhm,
we'd love to support you in that standpoint. And then also with just so much of the embodiment work,
yeah,
um, around connecting with your next, the next iteration of you,
mhm,
um, who's coming out. But what I will say is it takes a strong level of intention, right? So when Cindy asked before, and I would say my biggest healings in this life have been more like inner, some things around money. I have had health stuff. I've healed eating disorder, all that stuff. But um, when things finally changed, I had to have such a firm level of intention that no matter how hard it feels, no matter how long it takes, I was changing, not to try to change anything outside of me, not to try. The thing I would encourage you is don't try to change the diagnosis necessarily, but again, connect with who is, like, what would I love? What do I want at this point, right? Sometimes I think some of the most beautiful gifts come in the form of remembering that we're not mortal, or that, I think we are immortal beings, but our human bodies are mortal. So remembering that and then saying, all right, how do I want to maximize my life?
mhm,
Right? What am I trading my life for at this point? So from that place, what is it that you want to experience in life? What is it that you want your legacy to, I would say this for all of you, not just for Patty. What is it that you care most about with your life? Who is that best and highest version of yourself? And then you focus on being her every day. And whether the diagnosis goes away, whether it evolves, you get a different diagnosis, whether things change and they're suddenly just, it's like not a big deal anymore.
Mhm.
That'll shift to mirror who you're being, but make the focus on who you're being. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
love you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Raise your hand for anyone else who has a question. Raise your hand. I'm just checking the comments right now. Connie, that refinement was a tough one. I'm so glad it happened. Yeah. It's always a gift. Beautiful. Let's see here. Sydney, I've healed myself 3 times for something that could not be healed. I tell you, I mean, so my hubby's in medical school right now. He's in DO school. So it's more like, it's more holistic. It's more integrative. I'm so excited because he's actually, I got him connected with someone on Joe Dispenza's team, and they're going to bring them in to like come and speak for some of the students there, which I'm excited about, because so much of what's trained, even in a holistic, integrative school, is still like doctors saying that things are incurable or this or that. I don't subscribe to that at all. I think you have to question everything. You have to think for yourself. You have to take things into your own hands, whether it's health, whether it's finances, whether it's relationship, like all of it, right? You are a creator, each and every one of you. So taking your power back, and no matter whether someone says something to you and they're talking to you about your money and they're in a suit, or someone says something to you and they're talking to you about your health and they're in a white coat, you thinking for yourself, you being in control, you taking back your power in your life in all areas. So, so, so important. So, so, so important. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, Laura's saying synchronizing your energy to health. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. Okay, who else has a question? We've got a little more than 10 minutes. Again, if you have a question on the material, if you have a question on the programs, Leslie, I see your hand raised. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in this weekend to start with the, I guess the onboarding that you were mentioning and all that. So I know there's going to be some good stuff in there. So I'll start this new job Monday. I'm really excited, and I can tell I'm not nervous, excited, like stimulated, excited. I'm just like, I feel poised, which feels good. And what I've understood in the last few months, really, thanks, Christy, is that I have a really big disconnect between like what's actually happening and the story I tell myself.
Mhm.
That it's not even like imposter syndrome. I think it's like, I don't even know what it is, but we're getting rid of it. I know that, right? We're going to do that work.
Mhm.
So I'm looking for a shortcut, something I could say to myself during the week when I start getting on these calls with people, and that the lies that start flowing in my head about, I don't belong here. They're going to figure out I'm a fraud. I shouldn't have gotten hired. That whatever that crap is, it is gonna come up because I think it's like in here way deep for some reason. I don't know.
Okay.
So like I need something.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I would say, let's not say I know that's going to come up, right? Because then it will. And I would also, so I'm going to give you a process to use. You'll blow through it with the material in 10K that you'll get into right away. So it's beautiful. But just the awareness, right? So you are aware that you are not your thoughts. You are aware that the thoughts of fraud, did you say fraud? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to find out I'm a fraud.
Okay, which by the way, what is a fraud?
A lie, when you commit fraud with
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
and that is.
Are you actually doing that? Like, are you?
No.
When I
I've
think
done
about
the
a
work.
fraud, I think about someone like pretending to be a medical doctor and doing surgery who actually
Right.
is a medical doctor, right? And
Right.
I hear a lot of times, especially women, say this thing of like, oh, well, what if they think I'm a fraud? Like, let's not use that language even,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just so overblown.
Yeah.
But so you're going to notice the thought. How are you going to notice the thought? You feel a negative emotion in your body, right? So, oh, I just felt self-doubt. What's the thought I was just thinking? I just thought, oh, they're going to find out I shouldn't be here, right? In that moment, you're going to say change. All right. You're going to recognize that what you just thought was not true. And you're going to say the opposite. So what's the opposite of I don't belong here?
I absolutely belong here
Yeah. And why do you absolutely belong there?
because they need what I have
And why do they need what you have?
because I'm going to bring them a lot of value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and how does that feel in your body when you
A
say
lot
that?
better.
That's your body's way of telling you that's truth.
Yeah.
So that's truth. So you just do that.
Okay.
You just do that. And you remember, and I would also say, does it serve me to say that this is really deep seated?
Yeah,
Because
no,
when we say
definitely.
that, right, we give it a lot, we make it big. We give it a lot of power. You're way more powerful than any of that. So I would also say, this is going to be really easy for me to change. This is going to be really easy for me to drop this old, because I know it's a lie anyway. Why would I want to hold on to it one more second? Right?
Yeah.
And the level of intention, the firmness of decision that we have when we make choices, when we make changes, determines how long it takes for the new belief to set in. This is really important. This is why someone gets, let's say someone's been a lifelong smoker, they get a diagnosis. They decide in that moment they're not smoking it again, ever again, right? Maybe they struggled with it their whole life. Why is it that suddenly they can make that change? Because it's the firmness of the decision. When I invested in myself in a way that made me so uncomfortable, why was it that there was 10 years of it feeling hard with money, of it feeling challenging, of it feeling like there was never enough and lack and anxiety? And then in 3 weeks, that was gone. It was the firmness of the decision. It doesn't matter how long something has been something you've been putting up with, because we just get what we're available for. So you've been available to feel like not good enough or fraud or whatever it is. I would just decide I'm not available for that anymore, right? I'm not gonna, that's not loving to me. That's not loving to you,
Yeah.
right? So love yourself enough to decide this is no longer happening. I'm changing this. It's done. It's not part of my consciousness anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one other thing I want to say, going back to Patty's question, and then Jen, I see your hand raised, is that when there is something that feels big, a diagnosis, a trauma, something comes in, the way that I see it is it's the soul saying, hey, pay attention. Like there's something in you that's bigger, that's been wanting to emerge, that's been wanting to come forth, the next evolution. And it's always about love and growth and joy and abundance and health and prosperity. And sometimes if we haven't listened, it's like it's been there, right? There's something that'll happen where it's like, ooh, we have to pay attention, right? This isn't about making anyone wrong. I've had stuff in my life happen like this too, where I'm like, I'm not paying attention, ignoring, and then I got to pay attention now. But if we can use it for that gift and say, what is it within me that's seeking to emerge? Then we get back in our power with it, and then we find the gift. So, Jan, did you still have a question? Looks like you're still muted. There you
Sorry, I'm on my phone.
go. Okay, good to see you.
Um, Good to see you. So I've been listening to you for a while, and Abraham Hicks, and I am more aware of the power of your words.
Mm,
My struggle is my environment, my spouse, my work environment, um, all very negative.
okay.
And when I correct my husband on words, I deal in reality. This is reality, which,
Mhm.
okay, yes, we have to deal. The situation is XYZ, but I know it's changing, or the result isn't here yet. Adding such little words at the end of a statement can totally change the statement. But the conflict in the house and in the marriage over, you know, my side business, which I want to be my full-time business, getting it going, and the marketing is a problem. And yes, I am not showing up the way I need to. That is way out of my comfort zone and going to change that.
Yep.
But how do I deal with the negativity that surrounds me and trying to stay in that positive energy and vibe?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to say two things about environment, and I'll keep it relatively brief because we've got just a couple minutes here. Um, Everything is a mirror. So this is really important. So the coaching I'm about to give you is about you stepping into your power. Okay.
Okay.
So if we feel like we are in a place where we are surrounded by negativity, the first question I would ask is, what is this mirroring back that's existing in me? Okay. So, because everything's a mirror. All right. So, and it can mirror back a number of different things. Some part of you that's still available for it, some part of you that is it inside. All right. There's some part of you that's still aligned with that jam. That's why it's still existing. So the opportunity is to stop looking outside of you and stop making it about husband, job, workplace, and instead say, what would I love? And then who do I need to be in order to have that? And what'll happen is anything that is no longer aligned with who you are being will either change. Suddenly, people that you thought were negative will suddenly feel quite positive. They'll change. Okay. Because as Wayne Dyer said, when we change the way we look at things, things we look at change. Or they will simply move out of your life with peace. All right. Because you're no longer a match. So the opportunity is always within you. And to decide, am I willing to take control of myself? It's not about trying to control anything outside of you. It's yourself. And then as you evolve, as you become someone where that's just not something you're available for anymore because you're not a match for it anymore, those things will shift and evolve. Yeah. Beautiful question. All right. Absolutely. All right, my loves, this has been so good. I know there's so much going on in the chat still. This is awesome. We love you so much. Again, I want to congratulate each and every one of you who are going deeper in this work with us. Those of you who are enrolling in 10K Club, 50K Club, we love you. We're here to support you. If you have not yet had a call with your success advisor, reach out, book some time. They're here to help you. We care so deeply. I mean, I think you can hopefully tell over the course of this week, we care a lot about you making more money, and we love helping you do that. And you're going to do that in these programs and in this community. And what we also care about on a more foundational level is helping you evolve into the version of yourself where you love yourself so much. You are so in love with yourself. You are in love with life. You are truly living that fullest expression of you. And I will do this until the day I die because I care so much about it, because we get to see and witness the transformation in each and every person that we get to touch. So I just want to acknowledge you and thank you and let you know how much we love you. We would love to support you further beyond here. So reach out, let us know how we can help support you. We're here. We love you. We've got the bonus through the end of the night tonight. So please, like, get yourself in. Let's do the goal setting workshop together. We want to support you. Thank you all so, so much. I adore you. Thank you for spending time with us this week. You're amazing. And